Hey, welcome. My name is Randy Palmer. I am a trained interventionist. I'm assuming you're here because we have something in common, namely in that somebody we love or know is being affected by addiction. So I've been working with families in addiction recovery for about 10 years now. I have a course and a program that is very specific and very niche down and very successful helping families combat and overcome the challenges that they face with addiction. And I asked myself, if there was only one thing that I could share with you today, what would that be? I wanted to share this with you, that families are powerful. There's power in your family. Even though I don't know you specifically yet, I know there's power in your family. You see, addiction doesn't play by any set of rules. It's not something that we can approach with a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter approach. But if you're caring for someone right now who's going through an addiction, I want you to know that I can relate with you. The first experience I have of caring for someone who is struggling was as a 5-year-old boy. My mother was adopted and dealt with depression and anxiety most of her life, and she would self-medicate. She also would get migraines, which, for years we weren't really sure if it was a real migraine or if she just really wanted another shot. One day when I got home from school, my mother had passed out, but this time was different. She was actually upside down on the stairs. I snapped into this role of a caretaker. I had established a pattern of going to get my mom a drink and bringing her a pillow and helping her wake up and walking her to her room where she could rest, and I would sit and I would talk with her. So this was one of my first experiences of really understanding what someone's going through and how to help them and what they need. Simultaneously, as a young kid, I witnessed my family talking behind my mom's back and people bickering and making little comments. And I could sense, even as a youngster, that something was wrong in my home. Someone was really suffering, and everyone around her was lost about what to do about it. So as the years went on, I eventually started to grow up. And where once I was really confident and comfortable in my own skin, I eventually developed social anxiety to the point where I couldn't order food at a restaurant. In my teens, I had my wisdom teeth pulled out, and that's where I was first introduced to Loratab. And when I took my first opiate, it occurred to me that I no longer had social anxiety. So I started to self-medicate myself to deal with some of my insecurities and my anxieties. Well, years later, as this occasional self-medication had evolved into a full-fledged addiction, I eventually had to come to my own family. And I told them all that I had an addiction, that I was addicted to opiates and that I wanted to get better and I needed help. Well, they weren't really sure what to do. They didn't know where to go from there. But I was insistent, and my father did some research, and I ended up going to treatment. The reason I'm telling you that story is, one, to let you know that I've been through my own addiction, and now I'm celebrating over 15 years of sobriety. And two, that I witnessed my whole family dynamic throughout this entire time. And even though I was struggling with my addiction, I could still see the systems and structures and the patterns within my family. Before I went to treatment, my dad did something that is fundamental for helping me create the program that I teach now and really tapping into the power that most families are just craving. And that is the power of families. The night before I went to rehab, he called this great family meeting. And for the first time in my life, I saw my brothers and my sisters and my mom and my dad and their spouses, and I think even the family dog. We all got together in one room, and for the first time, I witnessed my family talk about something real. We hadn't diverted to sarcasm or completely avoided the topics altogether. And even though the topic was me and my drug addiction and I was going to rehab, I still picked up on the sense that it was real, and I had never experienced it before. So it was a powerful situation for me. It was a powerful opportunity for me, and it's something I draw upon now to help families in similar situations get actual results. You see, the problem is that most families that I've worked with, and when I look back on my family, I can see it, that they have fallen into what I call social norms. Social norms is basically doing what is normal, what we see other families do, what we do in our societies, what the rehab centers do, any type of support or structure that's going on right now in our communities, and it's different for different cultures, but it's typically not enough to counteract the challenges that addictions face. The cravings of addiction are too strong. The complexities that it causes within the human mind and the information that we still don't have, despite everyone's best efforts, is too in-depth to just approach it like we do everything else. Oftentimes families fall into this mindset of divide and conquer. We see this, right? We get together for holidays, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, and we talk about things and we rub shoulders together. But as the year progresses, we go back into our own routines with our own families or our own challenges, and we begin to basically conquer them independently, even though these challenges are affecting the entire family. The danger with the divide and conquer social norm is that it's setting a pattern for future generations. It's letting a teen who might be struggling with a same-sex attraction or suicidal thoughts witness patterns around him saying that in this family we don't actually talk about stuff like that openly, that it has to be a secret, that we have to protect certain challenges or certain things we're going through from others. Even though the family's talking about it, even though there's 10 or 12 conversations happening on a weekly basis within certain individuals of the family, and different people are forming different opinions about what's right or what's wrong or what to do about it, it's like a hornet's nest that's just spread out going in all different directions. Meanwhile, our loved one is still struggling internally with a real challenge. A challenge that most likely cannot be resolved through the divide and conquer approach. This challenge is different. This challenge is going to take something more unified and more specific. The solutions to overcome these challenges that I just addressed are for families to begin to do what I call break social norms. The first step in this process, at least for the families I've worked with that have had the most success, is that somebody has to decide to go first. Somebody has to decide to be a leader and I guess just say what everybody's thinking out loud. So after someone in the family decides that they're going to do something about it, this person plays a specific role. I believe that's why potentially you are in this family, is to play this role. And the purpose of this role is to get the family to break social norms. Somebody has to look around and say, guys, what is the end result here? What are we doing? Once that person leads and steps forward, the solutions are to help the family to establish a pattern of organizing and unifying. It's important that through this process they begin to change their perspective about what's possible. A shift from there's nothing we can do to look at everything we've overcome. A shift from they're not going to do that if we ask them to what might they do if we show them first how to do it. Fundamentally, it takes the family going through a process of changing their perspective about who they are as a family, what's got them to this point, within their family, and then tapping into a mindset that the family is strong, that we don't need to approach this or do what everybody else has done. We don't have to navigate through these social norms anymore at this point in the name of personal respect and space. The addiction, which is a family addiction, has already infiltrated and changed those boundaries anyway. Every decision that's being made, everything that's happened, is already affecting every single person in the family every single day. I'm reminded of a family that I'm working with right now who just continues to blow me away. They have the power already. As I come in and work with them as a facilitator, it's humbling to see that power on full display. Where they once had 2 teenagers that were vaping and smoking pot, and the husband and wife weren't that organized and weren't communicating very well, there was no consistency of boundaries and consequences. This family has now been meeting consistently, going through the process of having these conversations, of building upon each other, of encouraging each other, of believing again in hope and faith and the power and success of the future. When you schedule a call to speak with me, what you're going to find is that what I offer is very unique. It's not something you're typically going to find in the addiction recovery field as options for support. The reasons is that when I work with somebody, when I work with a family, in a way I kind of become part of the family. I'm very engaged and very involved in the process every single step of the way. I've created a 6-step course, everything from daily communication to giving back and providing service once your family is in a better position. And today I've shared with you just one of the principles out of that course, the power in families. And I wanted you to know that even though there's a lot of options available to someone in your situation, what I see when I look around is a lot of nothing, really. Even though there's so much out there, I feel like when it comes to actual results, there's so little. The reason for this is that families who are operating under social norms aren't getting what they need, which is unique, customized approaches to help their loved one get clean and help their family improve overall. So I'm not a trained doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a licensed psychiatrist, I don't prescribe medicine or diagnose or cure any disease. The services that I offer aren't free, and they're not designed just for individual support. Everything that I do is action and results driven. This is a very different approach than what someone's going to find if they just go look in the addiction recovery field for what's available. The true power and the real solutions and the answers that your family needs are going to be found within your own family. That you are the power, that you are the solution, that you have hundreds of years of proven track record of encountering and conquering challenges. So my role is to help facilitate a series of conversations, is to help identify areas of concern where more specific help might be needed along the way, and then to orchestrate the communication with that help, whatever that might look like. I know when I was in your situation, as I came to my family and I got clean and ended up going to treatment, I already told you that we had a family meeting and that we met and we talked about me going to rehab. And that was a powerful experience for me. And I used to feel like a great success, like that was good. But now I realized I was operating through the lens of social norms, because although I got clean, as I got older and got married and had my own kids, I watched my mother still continue to struggle. I witnessed my siblings still complain and express confusion about what to do about it. I have regrets for not being that leader at that time and saying, guys, what's the bigger picture here? What's the end result here? So although you're going through something right now that you need immediate help with, I wanted to let you know that your family doesn't need to make the same mistake my family made. This is an opportunity for your family to work with me over the course of 6 months or a year, and let me help you establish a pattern for communicating, a pattern for pooling your resources, a pattern for tapping in to the true strength, the most powerful source of support and love that exists on the earth, which is your family. So click on the link below. I can get into more about how this process works. I'll work with you on the phone, and I'll share with you how this is an opportunity for you to potentially change your family legacy forever. I'm excited to talk to you. Please schedule a call, and I will see you there.